when I stopped to think about who that was in my life, at the same day, I also got a post from someone that said, when you're a kid, you don't realize you're also watching your parents grow up. And that really struck me. So the women that I would like to recognize that have impacted my life are my 4 daughters. They have helped me develop into the person that I am today, the one who wants to know God so badly, who wants to feel the compassion for people so much. And I am grateful that God used them in my life to help me become the woman that I am today. Not surprisingly, the person who posted this was my mom. And so I can look back and realize the same thing about her. I look at my childhood just a little bit differently after I read that post and realized that was very right. You need to know your mom as a person after you grow up a little. So I'm grateful for those women in my family.
My mom and my grandmother and 2 of her sisters. We spent a good amount of time going out together, having a bite to eat or shopping. The stories I've heard, the things they've taught me have stayed with me forever, and I think they always will. The things they taught me when I was trying to come up with a way to explain it, I thought of the love chapter. They taught me love, they taught me patience, they taught me servitude, how to be there for each other, even and however they could, to support one another, to encourage one another, give each other a kick in the butt if they needed. I will cherish their memories always.
When I was growing up, our church in Fredericton had a prayer partner program where they would match kids in the church up with adults who would pray for them and give them little gifts at Christmas and birthdays and that kind of thing. My prayer partner was this really lovely elderly lady named Eleanor Kirsten. As a kid, I did not know her very well, but I always appreciated on Sundays after church, when she would see me, she would give me a smile or say hello or just acknowledge me. I remember my mom often saying how pleased she was that it was Eleanor who was my prayer partner, because she knew that I was being prayed for, which meant that I knew I was being prayed for. And that's a really powerful thing, even for a child, and maybe even especially for a child, to realize that there's someone outside of your own family who cares about you enough to acknowledge your value, to be thinking of you, and to be praying to the God of the universe on your behalf. I really wish that I had had the opportunity to get to know her better before she passed away, but I am so thankful for even this simple way that she had such a profound impact on my life.
So I definitely have to say that the most influential woman in my life was my grandmother. I grew up in Nova Scotia and she lived in Quebec, so it was a little tricky. We didn't get to see her too much throughout the year, but always got to visit her for at least a couple of weeks a year. In my junior high years, I actually spent the summers with them. I grew up in a little bit of a difficult environment, so just being able to get away, have a bit of a refuge was really a time that I'll cherish forever with her. And so I really appreciate those days and just her devotion to family. And she just turned 100 this year, and her only wish was to see her family. So she got to see them a little bit closer. With the COVID situation in Quebec, it's a little more difficult, but she got her wish. I just hope that I can be that person, like even though I don't have my own children, to my niece and my nephew, that they know that they can always come to me. So I appreciate that very much about my grandmother.
Well, I thought immediately of Esther Langille, because she is just a special lady to me. So, and she's got a strong faith, which I admire. And she's just one of those people that has a way of making you feel welcomed and appreciated. So I remember when I was in high school, actually, she was at the time the church secretary. So she would have requested pictures from all of the high school students at that time that were graduating, and she had them all on her wall, which just I thought was special. So, and then even into adulthood, she got all the young women into the Women of Faith, and got us invited and got us attending. And she's just one of those people that kind of makes you feel appreciated and special in the simplest everyday ways.
Growing up in Sunny Brae, there were several of those ladies, and my mother and my father brought me to this church ever since I was born. So I was always involved in groups that they supported me to come to and girls' programs. But one lady in particular is Miriam Platt, and we lived at the corner of Rockland and Massey Avenue, and there was a house between us, and at that time it was the Crawford House. And I spent many hours there. I was an only child, and sometimes I look back and I think, how did they ever tolerate me being there so much? I would go there maybe even to help wash dishes, or my mother would know I was at the Crawfords if I wasn't home, probably. Marion would help me with my sewing projects. She was a great gardener, so she shared all her gardening skills. She was always interested in what I was doing. There was 6 children in that family, but felt like I was a part of that family. She was a hard-working woman. She remembered me when I was going on a student exchange trip in grade 10 and bought me a tote bag to take on my trip. She remembered me when I was going into nurses training and bought me my bandage scissors. That was the first pair of bandage scissors that I had. So she was very special to me because she made me feel special. I can remember her helping my mother hang wallpaper in our bathroom at home, planting a willow tree in our backyard, just so many things that she reached out to us and helped us with. She was involved with the girls program, along with Jean Duke and Olive Mercer. Took us on a camp out, and we cooked our breakfast on hobo stoves, and I shared hobo stoves with the kids at our camp this summer because it was a strong memory. She was always interested in the church here and what was happening, and had an opinion. And really, it was because of her faith in Jesus Christ, too, that she wanted the church to grow. When my own girls came along, she was very interested in them, and then in my grandchildren. She loved babies. Even in later life, she remembered us when it was Bobby Burns Day and invited us to an outing, David and I. Sue brought her to the camp one day when I was pulling nails out of a wooden floor, and she said, "Give me a hammer and a chair, Susan, and I'll help you." So her work ethic never ended. She always had that work ethic. She gave us a catalpa tree that she thought was very special, and it was very special. It's a special tree. We planted it at the manor. And so she has been a huge part in my life. And many of these women, like Marion in our church, are gone now, including my mother, and Marion died this January at the age of 93. But because of Marion's examples and others, I try to be very conscious of what my life is reflecting to others. I think of the story in Timothy of Lois, his grandmother, Timothy's grandmother, and Eunice, his mother, where he was taught by those women. So Marion has been that kind of woman to me, and I hope that I can follow in her steps in some ways as the example that she's been to me.